$1,000. That's the number XRP analyst Jake Claver put on XRP. And no, he didn't just throw it out there to farm hype. He explained the exact mechanism that gets us there. And here's what stopped me cold. It's not adoption. It's not volume. It's not some government stepping in to set a price. In fact, everything you've been told about how XRP actually pumps, Claver just tore the whole playbook apart. Volume moving the price? No. Adoption coming first? No. A fixed, set price saving us? That one would actually kill XRP, and I'll show you exactly why. Because the real trigger is one quiet thing almost nobody is watching. And it is already happening. Right now, today, while you sit there staring at this flat, boring chart, XRP is leaving the exchanges every single day. And once you understand what that actually does, what Claver calls the supply shock, this boring chart turns into the most exciting screen you'll look at all year. So before you sell a single XRP, before you give up on this sideways grind, stop scrolling. Because by the end of this video, you are going to see the price of XRP completely differently. I promise you that. Real quick, straight from the heart. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is a promise. Every price number you hear today, including Jake's, is an opinion or a scenario, never a guarantee. I make these videos because I believe in this space and I believe in you. So do your own research, protect your family first, and let's stay patient together. Cool? Let's get into it. Let me start with the idea that's quietly poisoning half the XRP community. The dream that one day, some authority, a bank, the government, some committee in a room just wakes up and declares, okay, XRP is now $1,000, and everybody gets rich overnight. I need you to hear this. Jake Claver, one of the sharpest voices in this entire space, looked right at that fantasy and said it doesn't work. It can't work. And here's the thing. His reasoning is so clean, I couldn't argue with it if I tried. Claver's point is about flexibility. A fixed, set price is rigid. It's frozen. And the whole purpose of XRP is to move value that's constantly growing. More assets coming on chain, more tokenization, more settlement between counterparties every single month. So if you nail the price to some fixed number, you've built a machine that can't grow with the very thing it's supposed to power. It'd be like putting a governor on a race car engine. Why would you cap the one asset built to scale with the entire global economy? And he uses a comparison I can't stop thinking about. Gold. Remember when gold was pegged? The government moved it from $20 to $35 an ounce. And then they had to keep nudging it higher, again and again, because a fixed price simply could not keep up with a growing economy. It was rigid. It couldn't breathe. Eventually, they had to abandon the whole standard. Now, I want to be clear. That's Claver's framing, his historical parallel, not a prophecy. But as a way to understand why a frozen price fails, it's brilliant. So here's where folks go wrong. People hear no set price, and they get sad. They think it means XRP can't moon. Nope. Opposite, actually. It means XRP can go so much higher than a set price would ever allow, because it's designed to expand with demand, not sit frozen while the world grows around it. A set price is a ceiling. What Claver is describing is a sky with no ceiling at all. And that's what makes this bullish, not bearish. The thing everyone's begging for, a decreed price, would be the worst thing that ever happened to this asset. What XRP actually needs is something completely different, something that's already starting. So here's a challenge for you, and it's going to make some of you uncomfortable. If a set price isn't what moves XRP, and if volume isn't what moves it either, then what does? Because Claver's answer flips everything. And if you're waiting for the wrong trigger, you could watch the whole move happen without you. Let me show you what he actually means. Okay, this is the core of Claver's entire thesis, so lock in. Most people think it works like this. XRP gets adopted, banks start using it, volume goes up, and the price follows. Makes sense, right? Claver says, nope, backwards. Volume isn't what drives the price first. What comes first is a supply shock. Let me break that down in plain English, because this is the part that clicks and never unclicks. Right now, there's a huge amount of XRP just sitting on exchanges, available to buy at a moment's notice. As long as it's sitting there, cheap and available, the price stays suppressed. There's simply too much easy supply. But watch what's happening. That supply is quietly leaving, getting pulled off exchanges, into cold storage, into ETFs that lock it away, into the hands of holders who are not selling at these prices. And Claver's argument is that once enough of that supply disappears, once the shelves get thin, you get a shock. Suddenly, there's not enough XRP sitting around to satisfy the demand that shows up. And when demand meets a thin supply, price doesn't climb, it gaps. It moves in a way that a slow, steady adoption story never could. Let me pause right here because I need to know something. Did you know the supply of XRP on exchanges was actually shrinking before you click this video? Type yes or no in the comments right now. I read them personally, and I genuinely want to see how many of you are watching the right screen. Yes or no. Go do it, then come right back. All right, now I have to keep it 100 with you because that's the deal on this channel. This is Claver's model, and it's a compelling one, but nobody can guarantee the timing. Anyone who tells you the exact day the supply shock hits is guessing. So take it as a powerful framework, not a promise. But here's why I think it matters so much. It completely reframes the sideways chart you've been cursing at. That flat price isn't XRP failing. In this view, it's the coil. It's the supply quietly getting squeezed while the crowd stares at a boring candle and calls it dead. The quiet part isn't the absence of the move. The quiet part is the setup for it. But a supply shock alone isn't the whole story, because Claver says something has to happen next, and this is the part where the biggest names in finance finally enter the picture. This next section is where cheap and boring turns into institutional. Stay with me. So here's Claver's order of operations, and it's the opposite of what you'd expect. First, scarcity, then liquidity, then the institutions. His logic goes like this. Big institutions can't just flood into a thin asset. If they tried to move serious size through XRP today, there wouldn't be enough liquidity to handle it without sending the price flying. So they wait. They wait for the asset to appreciate, for real liquidity to build up, for the market to get deep enough to actually settle large transactions at scale. And once that liquidity is there, that's when they flip the switch. That's when the volume they push through the network holds XRP at a high, stable value. Not a pump and dump spike, but a durable price floor built on real usage. Now, Claver says there are a lot of players sitting in the wings, already integrated, just waiting for that moment to flip the switch and go live. And I want to be precise here, because this is exactly the kind of detail the hype channels get sloppy with. Claver frames it as thousands ready to go. Here's the grounded number I want you to hold on to so nobody can ever call you out. Ripple itself publicly counts more than 300 institutional partners. Real names, MasterCard, JP Morgan, SBI, and more. So whether the in the wings number is hundreds or grows into thousands over time, the direction is undeniable. The integrations are real. The partners are real. The switch is real. That's Claver's vision, anchored to a number you can actually defend. And do you see how beautifully this stacks with the last section? The supply shrinks, scarcity builds, liquidity deepens as the price rises. And that deeper liquidity is the exact thing the institutions have been waiting for to finally use XRP at scale. It's not three random storylines. It's one chain reaction. Scarcity, then liquidity, then adoption, in that order. Claver didn't just predict a price. He handed you the mechanism, and that's what makes him worth listening to. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Claver traced this whole idea back to something written over a decade ago, a document most XRP holders have never even heard of. And when he connected it to where we are right now, it honestly gave me chills. Let me show you. Okay, this section comes with a label, and I want you to keep it in mind the whole time. This is Claver's theory, his interpretation. I'm not stating it as confirmed fact. I'm showing you how one of the sharpest minds in this space connects the dots. Deal? Good. Claver points to a white paper written by the IMF back in 2014 that discussed the concept of an exchange rate peg, and his read is striking. He argues that shortly after that paper, XRP was rebranded to the name we know today, and that before that, according to him, it carried a different name entirely when it was first minted. Now, is that a confirmed, documented chain of cause and effect? No. It's Claver's interpretation, and I'm handing it to you as exactly that. But as a piece of the puzzle, as a way of framing why XRP might have been designed for a role bigger than a simple token, it's fascinating. And it's the kind of deep-cut thinking that separates a real analyst from a guy just shouting price targets. And this loops perfectly back to where we started. Claver's whole point is that XRP needs to be dynamic, elastic, able to expand in value as more and more of the world moves on-chain. A frozen peg, a set price, an administrator deciding the number? In his view, that would make XRP rigid and kill the exact use case it was built for. The gold standard failed because it couldn't grow. Claver's argument is that XRP is specifically designed so it doesn't have to make that same mistake. If it's allowed to find its price through supply and demand, then volume dictates the value over the long term, and it becomes elastic, dynamic, and genuinely built to last. Now let me address the elephant in the room. The AI price predictions blowing up your feed. You've seen them. One popular AI model tossing out numbers, even flirting with 3-digit XRP if regulatory clarity lands. And look, it's fun. But keep it 100 with you. Those same AI models spit out wildly different numbers depending on the day and the prompt. $5, $8, $100, more. That inconsistency tells you everything. Treat them as entertainment, not a plan. That's the difference between Claver and a chatbot. Claver gives you a mechanism you can reason about. A chatbot gives you a number with nothing underneath it. And in a market where even seasoned voices flip their view 3 times in 5 months, a mechanism is worth 100 random price targets. So here's my bet with you before the last section. If Claver is even partly right, if scarcity really does come before the move, then the people waiting for XRP to crash lower before they buy might be waiting for a train that already left the station. 60 more seconds. Because this last part is the one that decides whether you look back on today and smile. Let me bring the whole thing home. Here's where we stand, through Claver's lens. A set price was never coming, and that's a good thing. It would have capped the very asset we're holding. The real driver is scarcity. XRP quietly leaving the exchanges, supply getting squeezed while the price sits flat. Then comes the liquidity. Then the institutions flip the switch. Scarcity, liquidity, adoption, in that exact order. And underneath it all, a design meant to be dynamic, elastic, built to grow with the entire on-chain economy. Now I know some of you are looking at your portfolio right now, and XRP is sitting near $1, and you are tired. Tired of sideways. Tired of watching everyone else's coin have its day. I get it. I really do. So let me reframe it one last time, the honest way. In Claver's model, and this is his view, not my promise, the boring part isn't the failure. The boring part is the coil, the supply squeeze, the setup. And nobody squeezes a spring that tight to let it sit still forever. We're early. I know it doesn't feel like it after the year we've all sat through, but look at the gap. The thing being built underneath versus the price sitting on top. That gap isn't proof it's dead. That gap is the opportunity that hasn't been priced in yet. This is the first chapter, not the last. The pain doesn't last forever. It never does. And the foundation is being poured right now, whether that flat little chart shows it today or not. So here's what I need from you. If Jake Claver's thesis connected some dots, if you finally see why scarcity has to come first, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn your notifications on, because I track this stuff every single day so you don't have to. Drop your yes or no in the comments if you haven't. And tell me straight, do you buy Claver's scarcity first model, or are you still waiting for the dip? I read every single comment. Stay early, stay patient, stay optimistic, protect your family, do your own research, and never let anyone rush your decisions. And that includes me. This has been Crypto with BHW. We're early. The foundation is being poured, and I'll see you in the very next one.